This is The Yay. I'm Reg Clay.
And Norman G.
This is The Yay, where we talk about life in the theater and the theater of life.
Yay!
As always, we are sponsored by Central Works, a new play theater headed up by Gary Graves and Jan Sleifler. Central Works, reinventing theater one play at a time. And as always, we want to thank Central Works for sponsoring The Yay. So this is week 3 of our Love in the Theater, and we had to have Jed Parsario and Melvigyn Badiola on, two of my favorite actors. How are you gentlemen doing?
We're good. Thank you for having us.
Yeah. And both of you have been on before, but we wanted to. In the minute we knew that we wanted to have a feature on Love in the Theater and people just meeting, we knew we wanted to have the two of you on because I think both of you represent. Came out of Bindlestiff. I think both of you met during Stories High. I think it was the Stories High 12 poster, which I have right here.
Out posters. Oh,
that's the one. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, this is the performance where the two of you met, right?
Yes, it was. We actually didn't meet or shook hands until the after party, the cast after party, because whenever I would go into the theater, he's already fully made up and he's ready to go. And I think we were the last piece to go. Mm-hmm. So as he's leaving the at Bindlestiff, it's just one big dressing room and it's co-ed. And so as he's going out, I'm coming in to get ready for my piece. So I don't think we actually met.
No, I think we did meet during the runs. Yeah, the first where everybody kind of shows what they've been working on. But then we actually did a short film
before that.
A year before that.
But we didn't meet for that either because I played the dead boyfriend of his current partner in the story, and so we never met, and it was just. Yeah, and I was just a picture. I had 12-second screen time as a still picture. So
you did great.
Wow. And we'll hear more about that. I think the two of you it's a wonderful love story, and so we will be happy to hear about that. Norman, as I begin every podcast, how was your week?
It's been a wild week, wild and wonderful. No, I'm doing lots of modeling jobs, and then I got a weird message. My uncle is not doing well, and so family just sort of got notified, and I got a call saying, you got to call and make sure you check in. I'm like, okay, I'll check in. Then while I'm modeling, I get a phone call from my sister. And I hit this sort of automatic reply, please text me, I can't talk now. And she says, I'm trying to get Uncle Johnny's number. And I'm like, so I sent her the number. She says, I'm trying to get Uncle Johnny's number. Mom says if we don't talk to him in the next day or so, and then her message got all garbled.
Oh, no.
I think she does voice to text, and I didn't know what it said. So I was like, oh, hell. So I call him as soon as I get done with my job. He's not well. He's in bed, but he was happy to have the phone call. He got chatty as hell, and we got to talking because he's gotten into family history, which will be my Black History Month share for this episode, I think. But so we got to talking about, somehow we got onto August Wilson. Family and lineage and August Wilson. And he said something about family, and I said, Ma Rainey's Black Bottom is on. He said, well, didn't see that one, but he saw Fences with Denzel.
Oh, yeah, when Viola Davis, yeah.
Back in the day, he went to, he used to go to New York a lot for business, and he would go see shows. He went and he saw Soldiers play, this Soldiers play, when it came out on Broadway. So he's like, and I think Denzel was in that. And so I run to my shelf and I look, and sure enough, Denzel's in the cast, but also Stephen Anthony Jones. Bay Area. Stephen Anthony Jones was in this cast. And I'm like, God, I said, so I've worked with Stephen Anthony a lot, especially in the last few years. And, that impressed him, perked him up even more.
Well, I'm glad he's doing well. No, it's really, really cool.
And not COVID, and that's the other thing. Somebody's bedridden, you say, is it COVID? And they say no, and you immediately like, oh, okay, well.
Yeah. Jeb and Mel, have any of you or your family members been affected by COVID, or is everybody okay?
Everyone's okay in my family, thank goodness.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no one in my family has. I mean, my sister does work with in healthcare, but she's we check in at least once a week just to see if everything is all good. But yeah, it's still pretty scary.
Right.
Yeah, I'm encouraged every time I look at the news. I see the numbers go down, and they've been going way down, throughout the United States. So that gives me encouragement, and people are getting their vaccines and all that sort of stuff. So that's good.
Right. Anybody gotten vaccinated yet?
No.
Not yet. I'll wait. I'm not. I'm not trying to jump the line.
I don't think we can, even if we could.
No, as educators, at least in Alameda County now, Alameda County is doing educators. Mara got a shot the first day.
Oh, right on. No, that's fantastic. Yeah, and I think the two of you are educators as well, so I think you should get the shot. But yeah.
Yeah, we're trying to, but like I mean, I work in San Francisco, so I'm not sure how that. I mean, we do live in Oakland, so I don't know if there's like some sort of
Right. They if you go to the myturn.ca.org, you can see if you're eligible, and if you're working in education or healthcare, you're eligible. And then it asks for your zip code, and that's where every time I go in, I'm like, "You're eligible. What's your zip code?" Zip code. Nah, we ain't got no appointments for you.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm not eligible either, and I'm sure we'll get an email. I'm sure either our jobs or ca.gov will send us something, but we'll check on. I'm sure there's tier 1A and then there's 1B, and then probably the rest of us. But I'm confident. There've been some current events, not a lot of politics, but there's.
I know, hasn't it been great?
It's been wonderful. Isn't it nice that we can not talk about Trump, who apparently is in some sort of financial trouble? But I'm not even.
Aww.
There's a thing going on called cancel Shakespeare. Have you heard about this? Disrupt texts. Either of you heard about this? So I guess so there's a cancel culture, and I don't have a problem necessarily with cancel culture because we want to make a long story short, there's a teacher / activist who wants us to take a good look at the literature that we absorb. And I guess the point is, there's too many white male writers that get first dibs at what students learn. But canceling Shakespeare, they want there's this argument about canceling, and I'm not for that at all. I mean, I don't see anything wrong with the Bard. I mean, the stories are still relevant today. So
that's weird.
Yeah.
No, all the Shakespeare companies I know are doing such an amazing job of trying to bring everybody else into the story. I'm not even freaking about it.
Yeah. But isn't it like the theater company's responsibility in a sense to if they want to, let's say, take risks in terms of diverse casting and not necessarily going with what is written on there, you know what I mean? Like, shaking it up.
But what's her reason? What's the teacher's reason / activist who wants to cancel Shakespeare?
Well, it sounds like she's going after the playwright, right? That it's too many white men playwrights.
Yeah, and I think it's also the time period. If it was written during a time where there wasn't diversity, which could really be anywhere in
which
history.
is not true. Oh my God. Urgh.
Yeah, I think it's. I mean, I understand the spirit of cancel culture, but sometimes, it can stretch a little too far. I mean, we can't go around pulling books off the tables and telling students, "Oh, don't read that" or whatever. So,
well, it's going to create a bubble because the truth is, like, there's actual literature now about the Negro in Shakespeare's London, in Shakespeare's England, and it's documented in paintings. You see paintings of, city scenes and stuff like that. There's actual writing about who these people were. We know stuff about them. Mm-hmm. And so when you do a Shakespeare play, when you know that history, you can root what you're doing even more in the history. Instead, we're going to say, well, that's white people stuff, so we're going to take it away from everybody? It's not y'all's. Y'all ain't English? Fuck y'all. Y'all ain't in the 15th century?
Yeah, I like I said, I understand the spirit of, we have to watch out. I mean, there's racism, but there's also racism against, like all white people and all white, writers, and they're not all bad, and also you're absolutely right, Mel. I mean, there are companies that will focus on diversity and focus on, switching things up as far as casting. And I know, Norman, you've been in a bunch of those as well. Radical Rao was, I think she was the grave digger, and she was another key role. And there was, I think, in Othello, who was a woman. So there are all sorts of companies that are doing some really cool things with Shakespeare. So
I would say the Shakespeare companies are, for the most part, on the leading edge of this. So that's the wrong people to be attacking. Attack every other frigging theater company in the country that does these seasons that are still dominated by white men. Attack them.
Yeah, exactly.
Leave Shakespeare alone. Don't touch my Shakespeare.
And also, Texas outage. I mean, I don't know if I have a hot take. I feel so bad. I feel so bad for some of my friends like Craig Dickerson. I got to contact Craig Dickerson, a good friend of ours.
Oh, please, yes.
Who moved to Texas, and now Texas is freezing. And of course, the governor and, they could have prevented all of these outages. Basically, they haven't had power. The large swaths of Texas haven't had power in several days.
Right.
And also the water's frozen, has frozen as well. And they could have prevented.
No, it's not potable. They weren't freezing because they told people to keep their things going, and then they ran out of the water supply. It got low enough that the machines didn't kick in because of the power outage, and so their water is not drinkable. They have to be careful about their frigging water.
Yeah. So there's that. And also the last thing. So I was so happy. I think it was 2 days ago. NASA, Perseverance, landing on Mars.
Yes. Good news. Yay.
And it was really the first time that I'm watching the news in recent memory where it's not about bad news. It's not about, let's say the riots or the insurrection or another impeachment or some crazy thing Trump did, but it's something that everyone can cheer about. A great accomplishment. For the first time in a long time, I felt proud to be an American. So that was really cool.
Yeah. Scientists jumping up and down. That was funny.
That was. I mean, it's also exciting for us to see that. I mean, I wasn't around, seeing the moon landing, but even seeing something like this, where I can remember it. I mean, it's a great opportunity to witness that, even though it's in CG.
Well, and also it's going to be really cool when because when is it being? It's coming back in the 30s, right?
Something like that. But
so think about all the kids who are learning about that right now. They will be either in high school or young adults going, "Hey, are you ready? The ship is coming back."
Yeah, that's one of the things that the scientists were saying is that what's exciting about it is the fact that us being able to watch it land there, and then like you said, the students of the future that are kids now are going to be able to study that and finally figure out if there was life.
Yeah, it's really, really cool. And let's see, what else? I've been updating my browser just to see, okay, what new pictures do they have? Because I love to see those pictures. I remember being a kid. I mean, I was only a baby when Neil Armstrong landed on the moon. I was born in June, and July he landed on the moon. But there were magazines like Omni Magazine. I mean, it sponsored so much creativity, and I think it sponsored, like, I don't think Star Wars would have happened. I don't think 2001: A Space Odyssey would have happened if it weren't for the space race. So
yeah, agreed.
Go ahead.
I did see this link of I guess they stitched together high def photos from the landing, and now you can see these photos in 4K. So I'm sure you can look it up on Google or on YouTube.
Yeah. Let's get into, well, we know the origin story for the both of you. I think both of you migrated from the Philippines and came to America, but let's talk more about how the two of you met. So you talked about I guess there was a movie that the two of you were in or filming. What brought you to the filming?
So it was actually a stage short play by Emmanuel Romero, and it was over at Bindlestiff. But then this is when Bindlestiff didn't have a home at the time, and so we were at what was then the Thick House, which is now Potrero Stage, and so that's where I first saw the play or the short play. And then what they did was they made it into a short film, and that one was directed by Drew, and that's how we got got involved with it. But yeah, like he said, I didn't even see him at that party, at that release party.
I don't think you went.
I went, but then I had left already because I don't know why. I was already drunk by then.
Were the both of you? Yeah, now that's perfect. Were the both of you single at the time, or did you have partners?
I was single.
I was single. Yeah.
Okay. That was perfect. So it wasn't necessarily love at first sight. Well, then again, it sounds like you two didn't even physically see each other.
No. I saw a viewing of the movie, and I'm like, oh, that guy looks familiar. Because I think we've already worked. Have we? I don't remember now.
I don't think we have. I mean, I've been doing stuff at Bindlestiff for a while, so if you had probably like seen, if you've gone to the show, but we weren't formally introduced.
No.
Yeah.
Oh, you were already at Bindlestiff at that? I mean, not Bindlestiff. I'm sorry. When you said Bindlestiff, I thought Brava.
Oh no, I wasn't at Brava yet. I've only been at Brava. I mean, the last 5-6 years now, but I've been with Bindlestiff for over 10 years.
Melvin, because I think you were doing tech when we did Stories High, right? Where you weren't on a stage yet, were you?
No, I was on stage with you. That when we did, it was the first Stories High back at the old new space
where we met.
But when
Stories
I first,
High 12.
when I first started doing Bindlestiff, I did tech. I mean, I didn't want to do any of the stage stuff, and that wasn't my thing.
Okay. Was it I don't know, was it love at first sight when the two of you when you saw him do Rizal, or or did it take a little bit of time?
I just remember watching Mel's piece in the beginning. I just remember thinking, man, that dude's got thick legs. I have a thing for guys with big legs. And so I remember that. And for whatever reason, I thought Melvin was actually Chinese because he's one of those Filipinos that look Chinese. And so I just assumed, oh, that's cool. There's a token Chinese in a Filipino theater. And then I saw his last name. I'm like, no, that's definitely a Filipino last name. Because my rule is if someone looks Asian and they have a Spanish last name, they're Filipino. That's how I can tell the difference. But yeah, and then I don't know if it was love at first sight, because then I just remember I don't remember, it was after party, we were drunk, and that's when we actually officially met.
Oh, yeah. I pulled him aside and I made out with him.
Pretty much.
What about you, Mel? I mean, how did you feel when you first saw Jeb?
I was like, oh my God, who is this guy playing Rizal?
Yeah, Rizal's a very famous thing. I remember, it was one of those really heavy roles, powerful roles.
It was gorgeous. No, I saw that show. Oh gosh, I want the play. I still want that play.
I do too. Like I don't know what I did with the copy of it, and yeah,
I'm sure you can.
No, I mean I want them to make a full play out of that.
Yeah, they need to expand it.
Piece, and it was just so full and gorgeous. Oh.
Yeah, no, totally. I mean, it was also like it's refreshing to hear something that you've read in history books, right? But then like having to see like a window in a window of time into this man's life, I mean, for us Filipinos, he was what is that? He was thrown out of the country, because of what he believed in and all of that stuff. So,
and also like seeing the history. Sort of, how do you say it? Like, still living in San Francisco, because in the Palace Hotel there is a Rizal plaque that says this is the first establishment that Jose Rizal from the Philippines visited when he stepped off of Angel Island. Yeah, it's a plaque right next to the Palace Hotel, and I just remember like I think I was actually like I had my headphones on listening to my monologue because it was such a heavy piece. So I'm like, I just need to hear it all the time so I can get off book. And then I looked up, and there's a plaque and with his name on it. I was like, oh,
at the Palace Hotel here
in San Francisco. Yes.
Shit.
There's a plaque right on the corner of Market and Montgomery. There's a plaque right there that has his name on it. That basically is the first establishment that Jose Rizal stepped in when he got off of Angel Island.
Yeah. Wow, no, that's awesome. It's very cool that San Francisco still recognizes, the historical aspect of Philippine culture.
Yeah,
I think San Francisco does such a good job in all culture. No, that's cool. I didn't even realize that. So that was 2011. It's 2021. So is this a 10-year anniversary for the two of you?
No, we actually didn't start dating until a year later.
we just made out and said, all right, good job.
No, we're not. I'm not. Yeah, I'm not that kind. I mean, also the fact that Bindlestiff is our home. Like I feel like we have that respect for for the space and the people that are in there that work and does tremendous work. But we didn't really actually start dating until like a year and a half later.
2 years, maybe even.
Yeah, because I think it was 2013. I was producing Stories High 2013.
That's when we started dating.
Yeah, but it wasn't even
because he was playing Hard to Get. That's what happened.
I was not.
We want to hear this story. You'll get your turn.
No, I mean, I don't know. It was I mean, if like I said, if you're working in an institution or in a space where you kind of and you're in a leadership position, I feel like you kind of have to be held at a higher standard and
right
as well. And so I didn't want people to think that I'm like taking advantage of the situation
because he was a producer and I was an actor, and we were already dating then, and so we just sort of kept it under wraps.
Yeah, nobody knew.
Although he did come to rehearsal once to drop off food, and then I just remember Amy Suzara, who was directing Amy Spiritu, who was directing me in that piece, just sort of looked at me. I was like, "Oh, what's that? Oh, so Melvin's
Not
giving
for
you?
us.
Where's our food?" Definitely just like, oh, right.
Yeah. But they didn't even know until like until after the after party. Yeah. They were like, "Oh, you guys are together." They're like, "What?" And it's like,
wait a minute! Don't put that hair away. You just pulled that hair out. I want to see this. Good Lord!
I know, it's like Steve Perry, right?
That's more hair than I have ever seen on you.
Yeah,
both of you, honestly, it's more hair than I've ever seen on both of you.
Steve Perry look, but it's interesting that you mentioned that because we had Chuck Laxon and Julie Corbara on, and they said the same thing. Chuck was like, "Listen, I'm a person of position here at Bindlestiff, and I'm attracted to Julie, but I don't want to." I don't want to date the actors, like a casting couch thing. So, it's the respect that you have for Bindlestiff, but also, the love was so strong you couldn't resist.
Yeah, but also, I mean, it's all about being professional at the same time. Like I've had students before where it's like we're in class and they're all making out, and it's like, how do you guys feel if my partner just comes to class and I start making out with him? It's it's about respect, and I feel like. If I start being uncomfortable, I feel like people are going to be uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm. Right, exactly. Especially if it goes wrong, because you start dating someone and all of a sudden, oh no, we're broken up, but now we have to continue in this either rehearsal or this thing. It can, those are really, really tense situations. But no, it's been, and the two of you. So what? It's been 7 years that you two of you have been officially together.
So
yeah, 7,
14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. It's going to be 21. So it's going to be 8 years in August.
We're 7 going in 8.
In where?
7
in August.
August.
Yeah.
That's
love.
That's fantastic. Well, here's a simple question. What makes, what keeps it going strong? Why haven't you guys torn your hairs out, especially with COVID? Are you guys sequestered together?
What was that?
Are you guys sequestered together?
Yes. I think space has a lot to do with it, given the fact that we can be separated by a wall. Like you can be in a bedroom, I can be out here in the living room. But I think a lot of it is really taking some time for yourself. Especially like right now with the situation that we're in, being sheltering in place for like what would be a year now, right? There are times where we need some time apart, and we communicate that.
Which I think has gotten better, because I remember in the beginning, like I was single for a really long time, and I held on to my like bachelor badge really proud. Like I would go out with friends who were already like booed up, or they had fiancés and they're married, and so they felt bad inviting me. They wanted to invite me because they're like, we just don't want you to feel like this the third or fifth or seventh wheel. And I'm like, no, by all means, it's fun. Like I don't have to deal with a significant other when I go home. I can just eat whatever I want after we hang out. But so like in the beginning of our relationship, I remember wanting to run around the lake, and I would say, no, I need me time. I need like alone time, because I got so used of being like by myself that I enjoyed it. And now it's gotten better, but I think Melvin now is realizing, no, he also needs his alone time where I'm not there with him to go on walks. Like he'll walk around the marina in Emeryville by himself, and then I'll go on a hike by myself, and it's not. And I think also maybe I'll just speak for us. Maybe it's because we're both artists and we need that sort of like alone time where.
No, I think everybody does. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm in the basement and I spend a lot of time down here, and I've been realizing for like the last month, if I don't get the fuck out of the house every now and then, I get this look like, so what are you doing? Like, I'm sitting here minding my own business. What the fuck? I live here. What do you mean? What am I doing? Damn. Is there no loitering sign up or something?
Well, I think also one of the things too is that like I'm a morning person, so I'm usually awake by 7:30 in the morning, and he doesn't get up until like later on in the day. So I have a good chunk of the time where I'm just, I'm by myself. I can do things that I need to do. I mean, I can't like vacuum the floor. I can't.
You have what are you talking about?
I mean, usually I get closer to the time when he wakes up so I can like, vacuum and slowly like wake him up. But, I think that and also like, since before COVID, when we had, productions that were all lining up and stuff, there were times where we won't even see each other, and then all of a sudden it's like
once a week. I remember like we at one point before COVID hit, I was like, you realize that we're only together when at nighttime when we're in bed together. And that's usually only on the weekends, because at the time I was working at with Red Ladder, where I'm traveling. We go out of town, and by out of town I mean like Central California, and so I'm not at home until like Thursday, from Wednesday morning to Friday. I don't get home until Friday, and then on the weekends is when we used to go hiking. But then that's at the point where I realized like, oh, we're not actually hanging out until we're sleeping, and then we're not really hanging out. We're just sort of like sleeping.
Yeah.
So but now it's like the opposite. Now it's like, okay, I kind of feel like I want to sleep on the couch today.
Yeah.
Can that ever get to be an issue? We've asked other couples as well, where let's say Jeb is involved in a show, and especially when it comes to tech and Q to Q, and you're not coming in until, I don't know, midnight or something like that. Does sometimes scheduling become an issue or a problem, where let's say you may need attention, Mel, or Jeb may need attention? Does scheduling ever become a problem?
Did it? No, I mean, we understand what the what the demand is when it comes to going into Tech Week, and so I think just being a partner that is understanding of that, and also knowing that they might be coming in with an attitude, but it's not because of you.
That's usually me. That's usually me. He's talking about me. Mel is really good at not bringing work home, or he'll bring it home, but we'll talk about it right away. But me, like, I don't consider myself a method actor, but I remember one time I was doing a show at Magic, and I was washing the dishes, and I was playing a really heavy role, and I guess I brought the character home with me, and he was asking me what I want. He was asking me something, and there was a lot of fire under what I said back to him. And he goes, "What's wrong with you?" And it just sort of like snapped me into place. I'm like, "Oh shit, I still have Voltaire with me. I need to shake that off."
No, that's awesome. No, go ahead.
Yeah. Yes, it's just understanding that, like, I mean, for me, because I mean, I'm also sometimes in that situation where, I'm in Tech Week and I'm usually home really late. And then there are some times where I also work for City Hall for events. And I have literally like 16-hour days. I'm like, up and out of the house by like 5:30 in the morning. And I don't come back until 2:00 the next day, and for that, it's like, he knows that I'm going to be going in, really, really late. I'm probably going to be making a lot of noise. And so just the understanding in that part. It doesn't happen often, right? Tech Week doesn't happen often. I don't usually pull those shifts quite often. So when we do, it's about communicating it and letting them know what you need, essentially.
No, that's awesome. I was going to ask you a question, Norman, just as Jeb was talking about bringing the character home. Are you ever guilty of that? With Mara?
um, I don't think so, but it's the way I do character. In the last decade, I have been playing the parent of adult children, of adult characters. That keeps coming up and coming up and coming up. And because I have no children, I am fascinated by that. I am fascinated by the humanity of that. And so the number one thing I've learned is parents don't have a guidebook. Parents don't know what the fuck they're doing. Like, we all know this. We've all experienced it. But you don't. And so what happened for me is I suddenly started caring more about these characters, and everything in the world suddenly affected me. So like one of the first times I did it, it was for a dead son. I had one son who had died in a car accident and one son who was a character in the play. And man, I built up all these feelings about that. So everything in the world that in any way related to it made me feel. And I realized, oh my God, that's what happens when you're a parent. You're just always, anything that relates to your child affects you. But I don't, other than that, I mean, I don't know. I like putting on characters the way I like putting on costumes. I want it to look good. I want it to fit.
You
And
put
I
it
want
on.
it to be its own thing. And then when I take it off, I'm done. In fact, when I step off stage, I'm done.
I hear you. Here's a question for the both of you, especially when it comes to characters. Let's say, Jeb, I'll ask you this question. Are there times where you have to talk to Mel about, let's say, taking on a role? Before you take on a role, do you bounce it off with him, or are you just like, listen, I'm going to take the role and we'll talk about it later, especially when it comes to intimacy?
Yeah, I usually ask him for tips. Like if a director gives me something that I just don't understand, right? I'll ask you, like, how would you say this line? And then he'll just say it. And I'm all like, why are you saying it like that? And then he'll tell me why. And I'm like, oh, that makes sense. Okay, I'll try that. And then the next day it's like I bought something new. And it's kind of cool to have a partner who also understands like what I do. And so it's nice to be able to bounce off like ideas or ask him for help. But in terms of like intimacy, I think I don't think I ever asked. I don't think I ever told you. I just warned you. Like I'm gonna be like when I did White. When I did White, there was an intimate scene, and I did tell you that we had an intimacy director that was coming, and he gave me a hard time.
I said, am I gonna watch it in the front? I want to be like this.
But it sounds like you took it well, Mel. You know that doesn't faze you.
No.
Who was the intimacy coach? I'm curious.
Oh, I'm terrible. I only know him by his. He's awesome. He's a company member at Shotgun.
Oh, okay.
I only know him because of his Instagram. It's like Rexogenerous, or it looks like a dinosaur.
Sure.
Name.
Okay.
But yeah, he was our intimacy.
I was just wondering. We had one on the show, so
yeah, we had Maya Herbstman on, and I think that's sort of the new. I think we're going to see more people who are intimacy coaches. Sounds like that's a new occupation for the theater.
Oh, definitely. I would ask the other question, which is, how much do you guys talk about your roles, particularly your process, as you're working on a show? Is that something that you share, or is it more just sort of a, hey, you know what I did today? I did this. Pass me some butter.
I think whenever he's gotten like he said, some sort of like discovery on, during rehearsals, I think that's something that, he shares, or
I geek out.
Appreciate. Yeah.
I geek out. Like I'm realizing now how much I geek out about.
You do. Yes, you do.
Yeah, like the process of acting, that I share that with him, and I talk about I talk about people I don't like at the I talk about the director. She's getting on my nerves. But aside from that, I do geek out over the process, and I share with him like my notes and how I relate, because I know how to read music, how I use the tools that I like, the dynamics in music. I use that to literally score long passages of monologues or scenes where I'm all like, oh, this is the part where it's going to be a crescendo, and it's going to decrescendo here, and it's going to slow down here. And I use all of the like the musical lingo.
Because you do music?
I can read music.
Ah, okay.
Like all,
How can you read music? How can you read music and not do music? Come on.
Yeah. Well, like, I do. Yeah. So I play bassoon. I know how to read.
I didn't know that.
I play flute, so I know how to read treble clef, and like I use all of those Italian like.
Melvin, you're a musician too, aren't you? Aren't you a musician too, Melvin?
Trumpet player. I was a trumpet player back in middle school and high school, and I played like a little bit of saxophone as well. I got bored with the trumpet, so I was like, let me. Yeah. I already know how to learn. I already know how to read notes, so it's. I mean, that's the hard part, right? Is learning how to read music. But I feel like once you know how to read music, you're able to kind of use different modes of expressing it, like singing or different instruments. I mean, but if you go to like a treble clef, that's completely different because I didn't do that. It's the one that looks like a C, right?
No, that's bass.
No, that's the other clef.
Yeah, it's been a while since I've played it, but it's great whenever he geeks out because he's like an encyclopedia. I mean.
I know. Oh my God. No, anytime getting to work. Mel, God, we haven't worked. I don't know if I've worked with you as an actor.
I think we have. We did the each one reach one with the
That doesn't really count. Come on.
You directed us in a piece for Playground, didn't you? Did it? No.
Did I?
I don't know. We've done so many Playground stuff. Like it's.
I know Playground is. I love Playground, but it's weird. It comes so quick, and you just throw it together. I don't really think of that as work because it really is sort of like you showed up at the playground and said, "Hey, do you want to play Foursquare? Cool. You stay in as long as you can, and then you're out." And
I know. I definitely like ask him for his advice if I'm like doing any kind of like Shakespeare stuff or
that's right, the last
or
one.
or if I'm doing any kind of thing with poetry, because I can read the hell out of a menu, but it's like
I've actually been telling him, like, whenever you get Shakespeare, like, don't even think about the first thing. I bet you a good director is gonna tell you is like, forget about the iambic pentameter, just say it the way you're gonna say it.
Yeah.
And tell him like, it sounds good. Don't worry about it. It just how does it make sense to you? And people are gonna understand it. All that matters.
Well, and I would say if not 90% of the time, 80% of the time, if you just say it the way it makes sense to you, that's the way it's written. That's what Shakespeare intended.
Yeah. No, totally. I feel like Shakespeare, like fans of Shakespeare, are so like, oh, he didn't say that thing right, or he didn't use the iambic pentameter, or he put that comma in the wrong spot.
I like to think of those like Shakespeare fans as like experts and not really practitioners. That's how I differ. Like, I'm not an expert in Shakespeare, but I like to think I'm a practitioner. And so, like, it's just interesting when people come up to me and they talk about iambic pentameter and they say, "Oh, it's interesting that you change up the rhythm, blah blah." But it makes sense because I saw you make a choice. I'm like, I made great. I made a choice.
And then he tells me, really? Like, I forgot my next line.
As long as you have life on the stage and as long as it makes sense to the audience, I think it's fine. There are some, there's some scholars and, they sort of watch it for all the different reasons. It's almost like, you go to a baseball game and there are folks who are like taking down the statistics and all that stuff.
That's a good way to put it. No, it's exactly like that where somebody's going, wow, you know what's going on right now? That guy on third base did this thing and it's blah, blah, blah stat. And you're like, really? I just see him sitting there. What the?
Yeah, right, exactly.
The players don't know what they're doing. They've been trained to like they have the expertise. But in terms of like going back to your like what it's like to work, or if we give each other notes, it's actually been really fun, at least for me, when he has Zoom performances, because usually our bandwidth isn't that great, so sometimes I can't watch his Zoom performance without taking away bandwidth. So
sure,
I'll sit in, and that's been really fun for me because like hearing only hearing majority of the dialogue only on his side, it's really entertaining, and it's glad because then I'll have friends who'll be like, Mel's killing it, or he's so funny. And I'm like, it sounds like it. It sounds like he's doing crazy things.
Here's a question for the both of you. I've had. So there was one time I had a girlfriend in my life, and we lived together, and I was doing a theater piece, and she really even couldn't understand. It's like, well, why are you doing? Are you making any money and all that sort of stuff? And it was really frustrating. It's like, wow, I wish she sort of understood what makes it tick for me. But the question I had for you, for the both of you, do the both of you feed off of one another? Like, let's say, Jeb, when you see Melvin perform, do you say, oh, wow, that can enhance me? Or do you feel that you have changed as a performer because of watching the other? If that makes sense.
It's annoying for me because I'll read something, and I don't know how you guys feel about it. Like when you're still trying to get the words in your body or trying to figure out where it lives, I start to make choices that I'm conscious is something that he would do, or I start to sound like him, and it annoys me.
Right.
It annoys me now. It's like, oh, why am I doing that? Like I'll start to get his cadence in, and I hear it, and I'm like, that's not the way I talk. Why am I talking? Why am I reading it like this? And it's because, again, Zoom performances, and I hear him, and some of them are really, it's funny, and I guess I subconsciously bookmark it because I like what he did.
Right. Yeah.
And so that's what ends up happening for me. Is I end up if a piece is foreign, still in my body, I feel like I end up sounding like him or making choices that he would make.
Totally. I mean, for me, it's always great to see your partner doing his or her thing and really excelling in it. And so just whenever I'm watching him, it's always great to just witness him doing what he's doing, and that's more power for him. But shit, if they call me in because he broke something, like, oh, yes, I've seen it. I've heard it. I've read with him, trying to get off book. So yes, no. But it is definitely inspiring, to see him, especially in characters that that he actually embodies the character instead of well, I know it was written for a white dude, but no white dude was available, so we're gonna change it up a little bit.
So, yeah, we're gonna change it up.
Yeah, but for white, I mean, I enjoyed that performance, specifically also, and like just seeing him kind of like, oh, okay, like this is really, I was able to like really lose myself in the story, and I think just being able to appreciate, like I said, appreciating your partner's work and seeing them strive and do amazing things, it's inspiring enough.
I'm guilty of giving him notes.
I tell him, take it to my director.
Like, I like seeing him multiple times on stage. Like I forgot what play it was where you played a detective, and I remember being really like he was so good, like playing a detective. Like I believe that. Like I believe that fucker. Like the way he carried himself, like as an investigator, he's playing the tactic of I'm here to sort of like seduce you and persuade you that I'm your fan. But really, I could see him as an actor making it clear for the audience that he's looking around the room, and it was so natural. But then the next time I was just like, you kind of phoned it in.
That play was called There's the Moon and then There's You. And I think, and it was great. I love being able to play, like you said, multiple characters, because you get to kind of like
You played like 4 characters?
Yeah, I felt like, I played a Trekkie.
Yeah.
I played a Trekkie who was trying to buy this like ticket to get to the moon. And then I've also played a detective. And then I played.
To be fair, though,
something else.
You played something else. But to be fair, the night where I thought his detective phoned it in, his Trekkie guy, the nerd, was on fire. That I do remember.
But I love watching like Law and Order and SUV, and like I was just like, man, this is the moment that I could like live up to to those characters.
Mel's also really good on screen. Like he's really natural. Like I haven't learned that art yet. And I remember we had a weekend getaway, and we were up at Russian River, and I remember asking him like, so how do you just act like the camera isn't like right there? And he's like, you just have to like, and I literally asked him like, is there a trick so that if you're like scanning the room, you don't end up looking at because I'm guilty of always looking at the camera.
Sure.
Yeah, but anyway, that was just one thing too.
You have to make the camera a point of view. You have to make it a character or a point of view that you only address in that moment.
Yeah. And I told him like the camera work is not usually, unless it's like a super close up, it's not usually like right there.
I feel like it's like that.
Yeah,
though.
but I mean that's how they shot it. And so like, you know what I mean? But like usually you'd be able to scan it. But I told him like, just don't even worry about it being there, because I like when I first started doing like film, like whenever I would see that red dot, it's like you can't miss it.
Right.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
You
You
can't
always
miss it. Like, can you put like a gaffer's tape on that or something? So I don't see it. But at a certain point, you kind of just like forget about it, and But there will be moments where you are super going to be aware because you need to know where the shots are coming from.
Right, you have to. No, I saw a trivia question asked if Tom Cruise was a good actor, and the first answer, which was great, was, well, most of the time Tom Cruise is playing a movie star. So if you take that away, those times when he is, particularly when he's in movies with really good actors, and he's playing a really juicy character, he's fantastic. He's an amazing actor. And I was telling somebody about it, and they were like, I said, Tom Cruise loves the camera, and he understands what the camera is doing. So that's a whole nother level of acting.
Yeah, totally. If you see him like in those paparazzi shots where he's just like, like doing his thing, he's not like he's not on, right?
Right.
Then the minute that, it's like, oh, he definitely puts on
something
for the camera.
Mm-hmm.
Totally.
Yeah, I miss the days that Tom Cruise actually did, serious roles instead of, these action figures stuff. I mean, I remember, oh shucks, what was it? A Few Good Men. I don't know if I'll ever see a performance like that again.
Well, Collateral, which I don't think is a great movie, but it's so refreshing to see him play something else. And he was so good. Like, you totally forget the sweet, hot dude. You're like, okay, you are a manipulative, creepy fucker.
What another question for the two of you, as far as business, like for a couple, let's say, who is not involved in theater at all, if you get a job opportunity, usually that's a point of discussion. So it's like, hey, this job may take me to Minnesota or something like that. Do you guys discuss? I mean, because I'm sure either one of you are at the position where you could get a call saying, hey, we want you in LA because we love what you're doing, and
Minnesota.
Or yeah, whoever. But
I'm thinking of the Moo, Lily Tongue Crystal.
Lily Tongue Crystal, yeah, and her birthday's coming up too.
I know.
Have you guys have discussions about I don't know, the future of the business, or you get the proverbial phone call, hey, we want you here, and the two of you discussing things like that?
Yeah, I mean, before all of this started, I was actually like doing tours with a couple of productions, and I mean, I would be gone like a week, 2 weeks at the most. But when we talk about like, possibly, I think he wants to maybe able to do some work in OSF, and OSF is only 7 hours away. It's not that bad, we can drive there. I think it's possible, but I don't think we shouldn't let distance dictate whether or not we should be able to take any kind of work. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If it comes down to where like it's more of a permanent type of situation where we'd have to move somewhere, that's another conversation.
We haven't actually thought about it that way.
Yes, we have. We talked about I think I thought Oakland would be a great home base.
Yeah, we always have a home base, but not like a permanent move. I talked about, I before pandemic hit, I'm like, I want to audition for OSF or go up there and audition.
Right.
I get it. If they ask me to do 2 or multiple seasons, depending on what it is, the contract I might want to take.
Yeah, because it's at least 9 months, right?
Mm-hmm. So then I was just like, as long as the home base is here, this is our home base, then that's just, everything else is like, it's just work. It's not like a move permanent.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Right.
Okay, so good. No, it sounds like both of you are on the same page, because sometimes that can be, a difficult conversation where, it's like, hey, I've got this great job opportunity, and the other person's like, well, no, and I'm just afraid of what happened in the future or whatever. But it's good the two of you are on the same page. Have you two ever had, let's say, difficult? It sounds like theater has sort of helped. I know theater for me has helped me communicate with just people more in general. It sounds like theater has helped the two of you communicate, or it may be the reason why the two of you can communicate so much or so well. Would you agree with that? Do you think theater has really enhanced your relationship?
I think so, because Mel, I get lost in the details sometimes, and Mel is really good. He's got a really good eye for like production, and he understands the production part of it really good, really well. I was actually his first MAPA, the kids, your kids, the MAPA production. I went to support my partner, and I was like, oh God, it's Shakespeare. This is gonna be horrible. And then when it started, I'm like, this is really good. And then he was so proud of his kids, and he would just sit next to me for a bit during the show, and then he would leave. And I thought that he was running the show. He was just checking in with his kids, but basically, it was really cool to know that it was the kids running it, calling the lights, calling the sound, kids acting on stage. And it was just, I was just so proud of him. Like, wow, that was really good. And so Mel understands really well the like production value and what it means to like when the reasons as to why a show wasn't as good. Whether it's blamed on the director or if it's just like, well, this is probably because the lighting grid here is different or something. Like he knows that stuff. And so for me, it's more like I get lost in like a character. Like I didn't like that character. I don't know why. And Mel's also good at like the overall picture of a script, like understanding the plot lines more so than I think I understand it.
Me,
even though I took a class on how to like script, how to digress, how to like dissect
analysis,
diagram,
analysis. Yeah.
For me, I'm a sucker for catchy tunes like musicals and stuff, and so for me it doesn't take much to impress me when it comes to like, oh man, you're doing singing, dancing,
musicals,
and I'm like, that's freaking awesome. But what I appreciate with Jed is the fact that he gets to kind of like dig deep into like a character, what the story is about. But for me, it's kind of like I need the elevator pitch version of it in order for me to get it. But I think being able to like in terms of communicating, I think it's helped us a lot because it's not just about things that you say, it's also about things that you read, about how people give off and being able to read those social cues in a sense. I think theater has done that because there's a lot of, if you sit through a good play, you would, if it's a good ass play, you wouldn't care if it took 2.5 hours,
right?
Just by watching a great story unfold. And I think there's, people can learn a lot from that, especially with just reading physical cues from people.
I may be biased, but I forgot what I was going to say now. And I don't know if this has anything to do with your question, if it helps us communicate. But Mel is still, I think you're probably the only person at Bindlestiff who single-handedly produced a Stories High by yourself, right? You were the only one that did that. He did it by himself. And I thought it was probably the smoothest production that I've experienced at Bindlestiff.
Well, I had a lot of help from the production staff, production staff at that time, but it definitely is it's a community theater, so a lot of it has to depend on the help that you'd get and the assistance that you get from everyone else that worked there. Yeah, but it's hard. It was hard.
Yeah,
Stories High is hard. If you're gonna produce it by yourself, don't try and do it. You're by yourself. Get as
yeah. As soon as you said that, I thought no.
Yeah. Just one of the things too that I learned from Bindlestiff is that because with Bindlestiff, a lot of folks play and wear multiple hats, right? And so it's about making sure that you know your boundaries and what your capacity is, because you can't be being a producer.
Stories High.
Oh, Stories High, it's right there.
Yeah, I'm sorry. That's why I was running around. I tried to find it because this was the last one that I was in.
Yes, that's the one.
And you did a hell of a job too.
Thank you. And for me, it's all about when I did produce that particular Stories High and being involved with a lot of the previous ones. One of the things that I wanted to really do was give the director and the playwrights and the actors enough time to really develop even such a short piece, given the fact that there's we had, I think at that time, like 7 pieces that wanted to get on, and I was like, we just don't have the time to do all 7.
You cut it to 4, didn't you?
I think I cut it to 3, just so that we give enough time for each piece, because I'm also looking at it from the audience perspective, right? Like, I'm not gonna sit through a 3 hour
Marathon.
ordeal, with 7 pieces. I would forget all 7 of them. I'd rather stick with 3 really, really good ones that I can relate to, and
Sink your teeth in.
yeah, sink my teeth in. I mean, I'm all about quality over quantity. So
Yeah, yeah, and I think, and remembering from that, I mean, because when you have I mean, that's the mind of an artistic director, or someone who has the mindset to look over everything, and you want to be mindful and caring of everyone involved. The director, the playwright, and the actors, without being, without sounding like dictatorial or whatever. And you definitely have that, Mel. And it sounds like that's a nice balance that the two of you have. I mean, you have the overall picture, Mel, and Jeb is more, zeroed in on the specifics. And it sounds like that counterbalance really helps make the relationship work between the two of you. We're running into the 1 hour mark, but I want to ask one last question. What advice would you give for individuals? There's some young actors there who will fall in love with another actor or someone within, the theater. What advice would you have
Right.
to
How is that more than just making out?
what's
That would be our advice.
what's the
Make
magic
out-
what's the magic ingredient to keeping it together?
Make out hard. They don't see each other for
For a
for a
year.
year, and then see if the magic's still
Still
there.
there.
If it's still there, you might last for more than 8 years.
yeah, and also like I would say don't fall in love with who you see on stage. You know what I mean? Because
Is that what happened to you?
Yeah, no, totally. No, but the reason being is because these people that you feel like you're fawning over, they're playing characters. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, like Norman says, he takes that character off, and if you're not going to be able to deal with that person by in their true self, in their true nature, then yeah, it's not going to work. Sorry.
Yeah, I hear you. No, I mean, the two of you have been together longer than a lot of folks have been married. And so, it's wonderful. And every time I see the two of you, both of you are smiling. And, obviously what you guys have really works out, and it's wonderful. It's a wonderful love story to hear. With that, shout outs, birthdays.
Shout out. Well, I'll do my Black History first. Few things this week. Huey Newton's birthday was this week. The Tuskegee Airmen, World War II fighter pilots. That unit was initiated this last week. And the one that I found really interesting is this woman, African-American woman, who did the sculpture that is the face. If you've ever looked at a dime, that FDR image, that bust, that's hers. She created it.
Wow.
So those are that's my Black History. It's weird. I got pulled into very personal Black History this week. So if you look at my Facebook page, you'll see a lot of fun Black History from the last week. Birthdays. Carrie Adele Isaacman is somebody I went to college with. San Francisco State University alum, and she's on the East Coast making theater now. It's funny, she came out here a couple of years ago trying to do a Shakespeare piece, and I said yes initially and then got a big gig. And as a professional, I'm sorry, but that's what happens sometimes. You go, there's enough time for you to replace me. These people are paying me real money. I was doing you a favor. I gotta go. And she was very gracious about it. Meryl Shaw, who I first knew as a casting director, I believe for ACT, and she's still in the game. The way she puts it is she knows where the bodies are buried. So this is a lady who is fun to party with because she's got stories. Sheila Balter was my first director when I did my first show with Word for Word, and we did The House on Mango Street. Her birthday's coming up this week. There's a lady who's really special in my life, and her birthday is coming up on Monday, and that's Mara.
Your wife, yeah.
Yeah, baby. No, my career has grown so much because of my love. I'm going to skip at least one name because I know Reg is going to cover it. Edward Webster is he was a young actor that I did The Lobby Hero with through the Aurora. And they had already done the show. It was being remounted, and my role had to be recast. That's how I got in. And this young guy just would not cut me any slack on stage. But when we got the show up and running, like first night out, He's like, hey, man, you want to go get a beer? And we sat and chatted it up. And I was like, okay. This is a funny business we are in. Matthew Quinn used to be a producer here in the Bay Area and is now down in LA. Brian Herndon is one of those actors. There's a category of actor names that I have heard for years and didn't meet them until well afterwards. Brian Herndon was one of those. When I finally got to see him, I went up to the North Bay. I went up to Sassoon to see Little Shop of Horrors because I love the show so much, and he was the lead. And now he is sort of unofficially the local representative for equity, and still an amazing actor. Skipping another name, Genevieve Jessie McCall is in the writer's pool for Playground. I first met her as an actress, I think, and then she became a writer, and she's become a very powerful writer. Wilma Bonet is somebody I got to do a couple shows with, Thick Description with, as a powerful Latina who's been doing shows in the Bay Area for a long time. Not to mean that she's old. She started when she was a baby. And another name I'm going to skip because I think Reg has got it. And final name I have is Meg Patterson, another director-producer who's been in Bay Area theater for as long as I have. Those are my birthdays for the week.
And happy birthday. And I've got a couple of birthdays as well. Kelsey Colley, we've been talking about teachers. Kelsey Colley was a teacher for Huck, the Howard University Children's Theater that ran during the 80s. And I was a sort of a student teacher. I had just graduated from Ellington and I was going to NYU. And during the summer when I would come back to DC, I would help him teach a bunch of kids to become actors or to at least have fun in theater. Kelsey Colley, his birthday's tomorrow, so I want to happy birthday to him. On Monday, Melissa Momboise. Her birthday is on Monday, and we had her on the Yay. This is a woman who survived, I believe, lymphoma. And also, I acted with her. We did Grey Gardens, the story about the Bouvier family, and she's a fantastic actress. Also Monday, Jacqueline Johnson. She is a fellow Ellingtonite of mine. She graduated. We graduated at the same time. There are a bunch of Bindlestiffers, ex-Bindlestiffers. Jocelyn Deona.
Oh, Deona. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Jocelyn Deona. And her birthday is on Monday. And she was, I'm not sure if she was a director or a producer. I know she was part of the staff of Bindlestiff, but she was a presence there. And I remember her when it was Stories High 11, I believe. But in any case, happy birthday to her. Also on Monday, Mandy Cabrera, another Bindlestiffer. His birthday is on Monday. Tuesday, Conrad Panganaban. His birthday is the incredible playwright, and he has done some amazing work. His birthday is on Tuesday. Also on Tuesday, Mistiane Lotero. I believe I'm pronouncing her name correctly. She was just an amazing actress. I hope she still acts. But we did one of the last shows we did for EastEnders. It was a show. It was a company that I was involved in. We did 100 Years of Sex Acts, and one of the shows that we did was Don Perlimplin. It was a sort of a commedia dell'arte, and she was just wonderful in that. Also on Tuesday, Alan Byron, another Bindlestiffer. His birthday is Tuesday. Wednesday, Kina Cantor. Her birthday is on Wednesday. I've never met her, but she's popped up on my feed. Usually actors and creatives will pop up on my Facebook feed, so I've added her on. Wednesday, we've talked about Lily Tongue Crystal, the fantastic executive director she was of Ferocious Lotus, and now she's in Minnesota.
Yeah, the Moo Theater.
The Moo Theater, yeah. Also Wednesday, Jocelyn Ahern. I've worked with her as a stage manager, and she was an actress and also a producer for Off-Broadway West, working with the Harders before Off-Broadway West closed down. Wednesday, Sarah Corda. She is a ex-Eastender, and she and I shared the stage a long time ago. We did a Carol Churchill play, Far Away. And on Friday, another ex-Ellingtonite, Leslie Delane, a beautiful dancer, and I believe she also acted a little bit. Her birthday is Friday, and that's it. So I don't know if I captured anything that you were holding out for me, Norman, but
you did. No, you covered the ones I. Oh no, the other one, Eric E.J. Gibson.
I don't know why I didn't have him.
I thought you'd have him because he'd been on the show, but wonderful actor. He's with the Oakland Theater Project, which is formerly known as Ubuntu.
Yeah, he was your son, didn't he? Didn't he play your son at one point?
No, he played the son of the other guy.
Okay.
He played the son of the main character in Death of a Salesman.
Yeah, and
No, he played the son. No, he played the son of the boss. That's right. No, because he only had one scene, and he was so fun. It was such a trip. He played the son of Willie Loman's boss, who had taken over the business and was firing Willie, letting him go. He wasn't firing him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, love the colloquial language of that. Shows. You want to produce? You want to promote your show, and I'll promote mine.
Oh gosh, my show is called simply So Much Night. It's tomorrow at 5 p.m. It's a young man, Nigel Berkeley, who's Bay Area playwright, and I did one of his plays a few years ago before he went away to college, and now this is like his graduate project. So I'm like, wow, time flies. But the first piece that I did was called Adelia or the Nose play, and it was, my description of it is that it was a whimsical contemporary fairy tale. It was bizarre. The language was sublime. The story was interesting. And so we're doing this new play called Simply So Much Night. And with this cast of Bay Area luminaries, so I'm feeling happy. If you're interested in it, you have to get in touch with me because I don't have a link for it. There's just the event page, and the event page takes you to the university page. And it just has a time clock on it saying the next show will start.
Oh, well, we'll give information, and we can at least link them to the website.
Yeah,
maybe not the link to the show.
If I can pull it up, but I don't think I can.
And while you're doing that, I'm also in the show. We're
and Central Works. Talk about your show, but I'll get the Central Works link because that show was on the radio this week.
Oh yes, the radio play they have going on. The show that will be in tomorrow is Dragon's Nest. Well, Dragon's Nest is the company. Dragon's Eggs. It's a series of 3 one-act plays by new writers, directed by Sean J. West, who's been on the show. One piece, a wonderful piece, Soulmates. Is written by the great Kimberly Ridgway. I mean, Kimberly Ridgway has just been on a tear. She's just been writing and doing all sorts of incredible stuff. And I'm privileged to be in it, as well as Lamont Rigel. So a little family reunion. And that will be tomorrow, beginning at 2 p.m. And I'll have, have a link. I'll have a link to that, and that's what's going on. So, if you can't see Norman's show, you can see mine, or if you can't see mine, you can see Norman. Norman, when is yours going on up tomorrow? What time?
5 o'clock, 5 p.m.
You can see both. See me at 2. See Norman's at 5.
The Central Work show is called Bystanders, written by Patricia Milton, who is a local playwright, directed by Gary Graves, with Maria Marquise and Kimberly Ridgway, and they were on I think it was KALW the other day, a clip. I was sitting there I'm driving, wait a minute, that's Kimberly. I totally recognize that voice.
See?
And it's sound design, engineering, and editing by Greg Sharpen. It is powerful.
Yeah, I tell you, Kimberly Ridgway is on a roll. And I've got to get Greg Sharpen on because, we talk about sound designers. He's more than a sound designer. He's just Yeah. He's an audio visionary. In any case, that is it. Mel, Jeb, did you enjoy yourself?
Any shows you want to promote? Project?
No, not quite, but stay tuned. Go on Bravo's website.
Theater Bravo. We'll definitely have that. Did the two of you enjoy yourself on the A?
Yes, we did. You know what? I was thinking about it too earlier when I was making pancakes. I was like, maybe we should have done that, like, making pancakes while they're talking to us, kind of like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that totally works. We're going on YouTube anyway. I mean, there are all sorts of YouTube videos, folks fixing pancakes and all sorts of stuff.
Yeah, like while you're doing the interview. So next time, or for your next guest.
Yeah. There you go. Well, thank you.
Only if we get some to eat.
All righty. Well, thank the both of you, and it's been wonderful just hearing all these wonderful stories of the guests that we have on. You're probably watching this on YouTube. If you are, please like and subscribe. You know how the young folks say, and give us a shout out, give us a thumbs up, or tell us what you like, tell us what you don't like, and we can improve the show. If you're listening to this on our podcast, you can listen to us on all podcast apps. We're on Spotify, we're on the SoundCloud app, we're also on iTunes. If you're an Android user, probably the SoundCloud app is better, or just go on soundcloud.com and you will find us. The Yay was created by theater people for theater people. If you have a show you want to advertise, or if you just want to advertise yourself, let us know. Hit us up on Twitter, Instagram. I'm at Reg Space Clay.
And I'm at Who's Your Hoosier.
Mel and Jeb, how can people reach out to you if they want to find out what's going on with you?
Oh, he has a website.
Oh, well, yeah, my website. I haven't updated in like a year. JedParsario.com, or Instagram, but I'm not really on IG anymore. I'm taking a break from social media. But yeah. JedParsario.com.
Yeah, I don't have a website, but I have an IG. You can look me up. It's Meltot. It's M3LTOT. But you can also find us at brava.org.
Right on. Cool. That is it. Thank you so much, and I hope everyone enjoys their weekend. And as Norman and I always say, we gotta find a better sign off, and we are out.